I'm Rantasmo, and Yaoi fangirls need more gay. Let me say this up front. My opinion of Yaoi is a resounding... I don't entirely get Yaoi, but that's kind of to be expected since Yaoi generally isn't intended for me. If you don't already know, Yaoi is the term that we in the West generally use to describe Japanese manga, anime, novels, or other media focused on romantic and often sexual relationships between male characters, who are typically stylized in an androgynous way compared to the more hyper-masculine media created by and for queer men. Yaoi, more commonly referred to as boys' love in Japan, is mostly aimed at a female audience, and Yaoi fangirls are sometimes referred to as fujoshi. Fujoshi is a self-deprecating term that translates literally to rotten girl. I think it's a little bit like when people in the States refer to themselves as Undertale trash. Understand that I'm coming into this as a bit of a double outsider. I'm not a woman, so I'm not a part of the audience that Yaoi is mostly made for, and I'm not Japanese, so I don't have the best understanding of the culture that Yaoi arose from. And let's be honest, I barely know how to pronounce it. I do have some impressions of it based on what I've been able to gather, but feel free to take them with several grains of salt. It's difficult for me to theorize about precisely why so many women enjoy things like yaoi and slash fiction, which yaoi has a lot of overlap with, but from what I've been able to gather, they enjoy it for a lot of different reasons. Obviously, there are many women who find two men attractive in the same way that a straight guy might find two women attractive. More attractive partners equals more sexual attraction. Plus, there's a certain forbidden taboo element that some people just find exciting. But it seems like there's sometimes more to it than just that. Many people say that yaoi allows women to explore sexuality in an environment where the male gaze doesn't exist. And more specifically, where the female objects of the straight male gaze don't exist. It's a space where women can take a more active, subjective role in their sexual expression. Because unlike romance novels and pornography with heterosexual couples, there simply are no women to be objectified, and therefore no inherent power imbalances based on gender. Yaoi is also unique in that its male characters often exhibit behavior that goes against the grain of normative gender roles. They cry, they're often submissive or vulnerable, but none of that automatically makes them weak. They represent a certain freedom from the strict gender roles imposed by the big bad patriarchy. This is a big reason why the yaoi fan community includes lesbians, straight guys, and asexual people among its members. Because escapism from heteronormative gender roles is something that can appeal to pretty much everybody, even if you're not into dudes. All of this does arguably come at the cost of fetishizing and objectifying gay men and their relationships. And while I'm not necessarily opposed to a bit of male objectification every now and then, I do feel like yaoi fandom sometimes contributes to a culture where gay couples are often infantilized and treated more like adorable puppies than actual people. Oh my god, you guys are so cute! Like, don't get me wrong, I am f***ing cute, but this sort of thing sometimes feels a bit patronizing. Generally speaking, yaoi seems less concerned with actual gay men than it is with the idea of gay men. The characters usually don't identify as queer, they're just kind of straight guys who each other, and they don't encounter any of the discrimination or other issues that real-life queer men in Japan experience. Yaoi characters have a tendency to fall into pretty repetitive categories. The tall, dominant seme and the shorter, more feminine uke. And these same tropey characters show up so often, sometimes even within the same piece of media, that the genre can feel a little bit homogenous. And it kind of perpetuates stereotypes about every same-gender couple consisting of masculine and feminine counterparts. Still, many LGBT yaoi fans argue that this simplified fantasy version of queerness has helped them come to terms with their own identities. Yaoi is an especially touchy subject because, like a lot of other genres of hentai, it often goes beyond just the taboo of gay sex and into darker territory. In particular, the romanticization of rape. In fact, a very common trope in yaoi is for a rape victim to gradually fall in love with his rapist. Rape fantasy in fiction is a really complicated subject, one that, again, I am maybe not super qualified to comment on. I don't want to kink shame anyone, and I do think people should be free to explore their fantasies in a safe and healthy way. But I also very much understand the concern that yaoi, and by extension certain members of the yaoi community, contribute to the normalization and glamorization of abuse. I would apply similar criticisms to things like Twilight and 50 Shades of Grey, but it is worth pointing out that these issues are not at all unique to media made by and for women. And many fujoshi are themselves very critical of the problems that yaoi presents. The yaoi community may have its issues, but that's true of humanity in general. And I'm all for people finding whatever respite they can from the crushing pervasiveness of heteronormativity. For some people that's a gay romance novel, for others it's an online community, and for others it's, well, sparkly.